Assalamu alaikum my dear students. Hello, how are you all? Hope you are doing fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIVS Home School. This is Ariful Islam, Assistant Teacher of English, National English Version School, morning shift. Today I am going to take an English second paper class for class 6 students, and our today's topic is voice, lecture 2, annual term, double object, cognate object, factative object and prepositional verb. So my dear students, let's start the class. So look at the first sentence. Since the following active voice is into passive voice. He killed himself. This is an exceptional case. This is an exceptional rule. This is an reflexive pronoun. This sentence has reflexive pronoun as an object. What is reflexive pronoun? If a pronoun takes self or selves, this is called reflexive pronoun. So this is a mistake. Such as myself, himself, herself, themself, these are reflexive pronoun. So he killed himself. You can write in a suitable form himself. Okay, he killed himself. So if a sentence contains, if a sentence has reflexive pronoun, we will change it a different way. This is an exceptional case. In this case, we will not change the position of subject and object. Subject and object will remain the same. In this case, subject and object will remain the same. We will use only auxiliary verb by looking at the tense. As this sentence belongs to past indefinite tense, this sentence belongs to past indefinite tense, we will use auxiliary verb was or were. As subject he, we will use was. And past participle of main verb, he was killed. After, we will use preposition by, and object will remain the same. So if a sentence has reflexive pronoun, we will change it a different way. Subject and object will remain the same. We will only use auxiliary verb, past participle of main verb and preposition by according to the tense. Okay. Number 2, he gave me a book. So we will go to again our normal rule. Okay. Only reflexive pronoun, we will use this kind of rules. So he gave me a book. In this sentence we have two objects. We know object are two types. One is direct object, another is direct object, another is indirect object. If we make a question to the verb of a sentence by what and whom, we will find the object. So here there are two objects, me and a book. Listen to me very carefully. If a sentence contains two objects, direct or indirect, or indirect or any two indirect, no problem. You will always take the first object all the time. I am advising you to take the first object all the time so that you can avoid a lot of problems. Okay, let's do it. First, he gave me a book. We will take the first object. Me will be subject, I. As this sentence belongs to past indefinite tense, we will use auxiliary verb was or were. As subject is I, we will use was. So I was, past participle of main verb, I was given. And this object will be used as a written object. This object will be remain in the sentence as a written object. I was given a book, then preposition by, and subject he will be object him. Okay, you can take the second object as a subject. Okay, if we take the second object, a book, past indefinite tense, we will use auxiliary verb was, past participle of main verb, and before the indirect object, listen very carefully, before the indirect object, if you take the second object, before the indirect object, you will have to use to or for according to the meaning or the prepositional verb. This is the main problem. Where will you use to, or where will you use for? This is the main problem. That's why I am suggesting you to take the first one. So after given the verb given, take preposition to. So a book was given to, then we will give the indirect object me, then preposition by, and subject will be object him. That's why I am suggesting you to take the first object all the time. If you take the second object, you will have to use to or for before the indirect object. This is the main problem. Many students make mistake in the exam because of this problem. Okay, Mr. Arif teaches us English. There are two objects here also, us and English. If you take the first object, us, subject, it will be we, because it is a subjective form. As this is present indefinite tense, we will use am, is, are. So after we use are, where past participle of main verb teach, taught. We are taught, then English will remain as written object by. Mr. Arif will be in object Mr. Arif. It will be same, you know. If we take the second object as a subject or passive voice, what will we do? We are taking second object English as a passive voice subject English. So present indefinite tense, we will use am, is, are. Here English one, that's why we will use is. So English is taught. Before the indirect object, we will use to or for. So as the verb taught, take the preposition to, and then comes the indirect object, and then comes preposition by, and then subject will be object. So here subject is Mr. Arif. So English is taught to us by Mr. Arif. I hope you understand. Next one, he did a lot of things for me. Look at the sentence. Here is also two object, a lot of things and me. If you take the second object as a subject of passive voice, this sentence will be wrong. Your answer will be incorrect. Why incorrect? Because there is a preposition before the object. There is a rule, if any preposition comes before object, this object cannot be subject of the passive voice. If a preposition comes before the subject, this object cannot be used as a subject of a passive voice. This is the problem. That's why I am suggesting you to take the first object all the time. So first object, a lot of things. A lot of things, as this sentence belongs to past indefinite tense, we will use was or were. A lot of things, that's why we are using were. So a lot of things were, past participle of main verb do, did, done. For me will be used as a written object, and then by come, and subject he will be object at the end. Next one, he ran a race. This is called a cognate object. What is a cognate object? This is also intransitive verb. We know in intransitive verb there is no object, but in case of cognate verb, we can change it as a passive voice. What is cognate object? This object is not new. This object has been formed by the similar word or the same kind of word of the verb. Ran, race. There is a relation between ran and race. Okay, so we can change it. So a race, past indefinite tense, was, we are using past indefinite tense, auxiliary verb was, run, ran, run, by, preposition by, and subject will be him. Okay, so a race was run by him. Okay, we are moving to next one, number 6. we made him captain. Okay, if you take this captain as a subject of passive voice, your answer will be incorrect. Why incorrect? This is called factitive object. Okay, you can call, sir, what is factitive object? Factitive object is an object if a sentence has one object. We made him. Him here is object. But in spite of having one object, this sentence cannot have a complete meaning. So we are taking another object for complete meaning. So that's why this object is called as a factitive object. Okay, so here captain is a factitive object, and factitive object cannot be used as a subject of the passive voice. So we cannot take captain as a subject. We have to take first one. That's why I am saying again and again, you will have to take the first object all the time. So him will be subject, it will be he, because it is subjective form. Made past indefinite tense, belongs to, it belongs to, that's why we are using was. Past participle of main verb, he was made. Captain will be written object. Preposition by, and we will be us in the object. Next one, he looks at the picture. So looks at this verb, this is a group verb with preposition. So as this is group verbs with preposition, we will take this verb, no problem. The picture is object, one object. The picture, as this is present indefinite tense, we will use am is are. Am is are. The picture says one picture, that's why we are using is. So the picture is past participle of main verb looked at. As this is group verb, you will have to use the preposition after the verb. And by and subject, he will be him at the end. We talked of them. Here is also group verb with prepositions. So them will be subject, it will be they. And as this is past indefinite tense, we will use was or were. After they, we use were. So they were talked. Past participle of main verb, then the group verb will come, and then preposition will come, and subject will be object at the end. We will be us. Next one, I know the man. So the man here is object will be subject. Look, important thing here. The first one is talked and looks verb. As this is used as a group verb, this verb takes at and this verb takes of. If a group verb is used in the sentence, we will have to use by. If a group verb with preposition will use in a sentence, we will take the verb and the object. But if a verb takes preposition, but this preposition is not given. Look at know, after the verb know, this verb takes preposition to, and this to is not mentioned here. So we will use after this verb to here. The man, know, present indefinite tense, we will use am, is and are. As the man, one man, we are using is. So the man is past participle of main verb. So this verb know, knew, known, this verb takes preposition to. This verb always takes preposition after to. That's why we are not using by here. In spite of by, in case of this kind of verb, we will use the verb takes this verb. Okay. So after known, we were using preposition to, and subject will be object. Let me clear very fast. If a group verb is used in a sentence, we will take the group verb and we will also have to use by. But if the verb only given, no preposition is given after the verb. So if the verb takes a preposition, we will use the preposition after the verb, and in this case we will not use by. Okay? I hope you were clear. He annoyed me. So annoyed means object will be subject, I. Annoyed past indefinite tense. So in past indefinite tense we use auxiliary verb was or were. So after I we will use was. So I was annoyed, past participle of main verb. So the verb annoyed takes preposition with. The verb annoyed takes preposition with. So that's why we are using with in lieu of by. So annoyed with, and subject will be object, he will be him. A very important thing, if after a verb annoyed comes a person, we use with, and if after the verb annoyed comes any other thing except the person, we use at. So my dear students, I hope you have understand today's topic. In last class, lecture 1 voice, we have given SW, but only 3 students submitted their SW. Today's class, no SW. So my dear students, this is all for today. Keep practicing at home, abide by your parents. Stay home, stay well. See you again. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.